If you have ever stared at a carton of eggs and wondered whether you could turn them into a box full of chirping chicks without spending a fortune on equipment, you are about to find out that the answer is yes, and it is a lot simpler than most people think. This is how to make a home incubator, simple and easy, using things you probably already have lying around the house. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly what those eggs need, day by day, to become living, breathing chicks. Let's start with the truth nobody tells you when you buy a fancy incubator online. Underneath all the plastic and the digital displays, an incubator is doing exactly three things. It is holding a steady temperature, it is holding a steady humidity, and it is turning the eggs so the yolk does not stick to one side of the shell. That's it. That's the whole secret. Once you understand those three jobs, you realize you can build something that does them just as well as a $200 machine for a fraction of the cost. So what do you actually need? A sturdy cardboard box or a plastic storage bin, something with enough room for your eggs to sit in a single layer with a little breathing space around them. A light bulb, the old-fashioned incandescent kind if you can find one, because it gives off warmth as a byproduct, not just light. A thermometer, ideally one that also reads humidity, because guessing is how you end up with a box of eggs that never hatch. A shallow dish of water to keep the air from drying out, and something soft on the bottom, like a folded towel or a bit of straw, so the eggs have a stable place to rest. Set your box in a spot that stays at a consistent room temperature, away from drafts, away from direct sunlight, away from anything that is going to swing the internal temperature up and down throughout the day. That consistency matters more than almost anything else in this whole process. A chick embryo does not care if it is snowing outside or 90 degrees in the afternoon. It only cares what is happening inside that box, hour after hour, for the next 21 days. Cut a hole in the side of the box for ventilation, and another near the top if you are using a bulb mounted inside, so heat can circulate instead of pooling in one corner. Mount your bulb so it hangs above the eggs but does not touch them directly, because direct contact will cook them, not incubate them. This is the same principle a mother hen uses when she settles onto her nest. She is not smothering the eggs with heat. She is wrapping them in a gentle, even warmth that never spikes and never drops out. Now here is where people get nervous, and I want to walk you through it slowly, because temperature is the single most important number in this entire process. You are aiming for right around 99.5 degrees Fahrenheit, measured at the level of the eggs themselves, not at the top of the box where the bulb is. Too hot, and the embryos develop too quickly and often die before hatching. Too cold, and development slows down or stalls entirely. This is why that thermometer sitting right next to your eggs is not optional. It is the only way you actually know what is happening inside that box, instead of hoping for the best. Humidity is the quieter partner in this process, but it matters just as much. For the first 18 days, you want humidity sitting somewhere around 45 to 50%. That shallow dish of water you placed inside the box is doing the work here, slowly evaporating and keeping the air from drying out the membrane inside the shell. If the air gets too dry, the chick can actually get stuck to the inside of the shell during hatching, unable to break free. If you notice your humidity reading low, add a little more surface area to your water dish, maybe a damp sponge, and check it again the next day. Every single day for 18 days, you are going to turn those eggs. At least 3 times a day, gently rotate each egg a half turn. Some people mark one side of each egg with a small X and the other side with an O, just so they can glance in and know at a single sight which eggs still need turning that day. This mimics what a hen does instinctively throughout the day, shifting her body and her nest so the yolk never settles and sticks against the shell membrane. Skipping this step, even for a day or two, can be the difference between a healthy chick and one that never fully develops. Around day 7, and again around day 14, you can candle your eggs. This just means holding a bright flashlight up against the wide end of the egg, in a dark room, and looking for the shadowy shape of veins and a developing embryo inside. It sounds complicated, but the first time you do it and see that tiny dark shape moving inside the shell, you will understand instantly what you are looking for. Eggs that show no development, no veins, nothing but a clear glow, are almost certainly not going to hatch, and removing them keeps your incubator cleaner, and reduces the risk of a rotten egg affecting the others. By day 18, everything changes. This is what breeders call lockdown, and it is the point where you stop turning the eggs completely. The chicks inside are beginning to position themselves for hatching, and turning them now can actually interfere with that process. Increase your humidity at this stage, aiming closer to 65 or even 70%, because that added moisture helps soften the inner membrane and makes it easier for the chick to break through the shell when the time comes. Add a little more water to your dish, maybe a second dish if your box allows for it, and resist the urge to open the box and check on things too often. Every time you lift that lid, you are letting warm, humid air escape, and it takes time for your little home-built system to recover. This is usually the hardest part for people, honestly, not because it's technically difficult, but because it takes patience. You have done all this work, you are so close, and the instinct is to peek constantly, to open the lid, to check on things every hour. Try to resist that. Check once, maybe twice a day, quietly, and let the box do what it is designed to do. Around day 21, you will start to hear something remarkable. A faint peeping sound, coming from inside the shells, before you ever see a crack. This is completely normal. The chick has been developing an air pocket inside the shell for days now, and it begins breathing that trapped air before it ever breaks through. Then you will see the first tiny crack, what's often called pipping, a small star-shaped break in the shell where the chick has used a temporary little bump on its beak, called an egg tooth, to start working its way out. Here is the part that surprises almost everyone the first time. It can take a chick anywhere from a few hours to an entire day to fully hatch after that first crack appears. It looks exhausting. It looks like the chick is struggling and needs help. Resist the urge to assist, unless it has been many hours with no progress at all and the chick appears to be in genuine distress. Because a chick that hatches too early, before it has fully absorbed the remaining yolk sac, often does not survive. Nature built in that slow, difficult process for a reason, and your box is simply giving it the stable, warm, humid environment it needs to do what it already knows how to do. Once a chick has fully hatched, leave it in the incubator box to dry off and fluff up. It will look damp and a little pitiful at first, almost reptilian, but within a few hours it transforms into that soft, fluffy image most people picture when they think of a baby chick. Do not move it to a brooder box until it is fully dry and steady on its feet, because a wet chick moved into a cooler environment can chill quickly. Once your chicks are dry and active, transfer them to a brooder, which is really just the next stage of the same idea. A container with soft bedding, a heat source kept at around 95 degrees for the first week, and then gradually reduced by about 5 degrees each week after that. Fresh water in a shallow dish so they don't accidentally drown, and starter feed formulated specifically for baby chicks. Within a matter of weeks, those same little creatures that started as still, silent eggs sitting in a cardboard box will be running around, exploring, and looking nothing like the fragile things you carefully turned 3 times a day for over 2 weeks straight. What I love about this whole process is that it strips farming down to something almost anyone can understand and replicate. You don't need a hatchery. You don't need specialized equipment shipped from overseas. You need a box, a bulb, a thermometer, a little water, and the willingness to check in on those eggs every single day without fail. It's a small, quiet kind of miracle that plays out over 3 weeks, and it happens the exact same way whether it's inside a $1 million commercial operation or a cardboard box sitting on a kitchen counter. If you're thinking about trying this yourself, a few final pieces of advice. Start with fertilized eggs specifically, not the eggs sitting in your refrigerator from the grocery store, because those have never been fertilized and will never develop regardless of how perfect your setup is. Local farms, backyard flock owners, and agricultural co-ops are usually your best source, and many are happy to sell a dozen fertilized eggs to someone just starting out. Keep a log, even a simple one, noting the day you started, the days you turned them, your temperature and humidity readings, because that log becomes incredibly useful if something goes wrong and you need to figure out where the process might have gone off track. And don't be discouraged if your hatch rate isn't perfect the first time. Even professional incubators with expensive equipment don't get every single egg to hatch. A first-time hatch rate of 50 to 70% using a homemade setup like this one is genuinely something to be proud of. There's something deeply satisfying about watching this process unfold with your own hands, using tools you built yourself instead of something pulled out of a box from a warehouse. It connects you to a process that farms have relied on for longer than any of us have been alive, long before electricity, long before thermometers, when it was just a hen, her nest, and 21 days of patient warmth. You're simply recreating that same quiet miracle with a light bulb and a cardboard box. If this walked you through everything you needed to know, drop a comment and let us know if you're going to try building your own incubator. And if you've already hatched chicks at home, share what worked for you, because every person who tries this learns something a little different along the way. Subscribe for more simple, honest guides just like this one. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next video, and we'll see you in the next one.